So we looked at examples of triggers and all. We didn't discuss much about them. Uh, we saw certain examples. We have done drop. We looked at them yesterday. So what are the advantages of using them? Okay. So one is automation. So at any point in time, if you want to do certain tasks after inserting or before inserting items into the table, or let's say you want to do something after deleting or before deleting, right? So you don't have to, let's say, yesterday we did this thing of the first name and last name addition, right? So let us say if I wanted to do it for all the rows, but I did not have these triggers, then what I would do, I'll have to come run the operation every 1 hour and create it in a new table, right? So that is not feasible. That becomes very problematic. Okay, so what it helps is it helps you do a lot of automations related to data manipulation commands. Okay, it says improve data integrity. What do we mean by this? So because you also have the option of checking running these functions before inserting or before updating anything, you can also add certain checks. So let us say somebody wants to add something inside a, like for example, you want to add an item into products table that somebody has ordered this. So what you can do is before adding inside the table, right, you can add a check saying, do I have enough inventory for this table to be added, right? So only if I have enough inventory for this product to be added, I'll add it. So you can have a lot of checks before you insert the item. So that way what happens is the data is not inconsistent. It's like you simply created an order, but there is no product to fulfill that order. Like that, it should not happen. Or let's say when you are deleting something, you want to do certain kind of checks before deleting. So all of those can be done using triggers. So same integrity, consistency, both are the same. And it helps in auditing also. What do you mean by that? We also looked at an example yesterday, right? So whenever somebody is inserting into a table, deleting into a table, or any modifications to a table if they're doing, we can store all of that into another table by adding triggers after or before. Okay. So then uh, it is also performant because you don't have to, once you create a trigger, you don't have to specifically go call it every time. If you have in a stored procedure, you'll have to call it because it is trigger. It is tied to the database. You can run it whenever you want. Okay. And cleaning events, again, same thing. So let us say I do a clean of a, let's say I have a table in which I have items. Uh, what do I mean by item? Let's say I have a table of Instagram users. Okay. So if I delete one user, what I can do is I can say, whenever this user gets deleted, delete all his posts and all as well. Right. So if I was going to do it normally, what I would have to do, I would have to write queries for it every time somebody is deleted, go manually delete all of them. So instead, what I can do, write a trigger for it. So once this row is removed from the table, go and remove all rows of it from all other tables as well. So that can also be done. And there are few disadvantages. What are the disadvantages? Security, I think we discussed this security issue. No, we didn't discuss this security. So we had discussed it about procedure, where we had talked about SQL injection. We didn't discover this. So complexity is true because complexity and debugging. So what happens is you don't get logs and all specifically for triggers and specifically for triggers. So what happens is if something goes wrong, you have to look at the code and only identify has anything been wrong. So it is very difficult to debug, and testing also it is difficult because you don't have logs, right? So anywhere if you don't have any statements that tell you what is happening, what has happened, it is not easy. Okay. And also, when you use trigger, it creates a lot of dependencies. Why? Because let's say you created a trigger in which after adding an item into one table, you are modifying two, three other tables. So now what happened? This trigger is not only dependent on, what is it? This trigger is not only dependent on that particular table, now it is dependent on other tables as well, two, three other tables which we are modifying after we insert into that particular table. Okay. And portability because they might not be compatible between two, three systems. So what you wrote in MySQL may not be compatible with what in Oracle SQL, or may not be compatible with this SQL database. Okay, so these are all the disadvantages, limitations. Okay, so there are some validations that are not possible inside, like not null, unique, check, and foreign key. So these are not, no, only the simple ones are available, not null, unique, check, and all. The advanced ones, some of them are not available. And so what happens is, let's say client application that is running. So application will not know anything about all this that is happening inside the database. It's like it is invisible to the application. So that, let's, for example, if the application sends delete the user in the backend, if you're doing all deleting the user, deleting all his posts, deleting everything, so the application wouldn't know all of it, right? Because it only called delete user API. So that is, you can say that is a kind of a limitation. And also what happens is, let us say your database is a very insert heavy database. So what do I mean by that? Every second, there are 1,000 rows that are being inserted into the database. So now what happens is, after every insert, you are running this trigger, right? So it's like after every insert, you are running a trigger function, trigger call. So it might make your database a bit slower. Then we looked at, I think I explained you this as well, trigger events. So what are the different uh, ones that you, no, for a trigger event, you can access the older variables and the newer variables that are there. So before inserting, what were the values, and after inserting, what were the values, old and new. Okay, we discussed about this as well. Then I just had certain examples. I've shared this PPT with you people. So most of the things are, we tried solving some, right? So all of them are that only, nothing different. So next we'll discuss about events. So what are, so it's not a insert, update, delete. So this is again a different kind of concept in MySQL. Let's take the example of Ola drivers, Ola or Uber as well. Okay. So if you talk to any Ola or Uber driver, right, they are not happy with Ola and Uber. Why? They say because Ola and Uber give you the payment once every day. I think once every day only, right? So every day once at one time, what they'll do is they'll do all the payments to the drivers. Okay. So it's like every day at 12 o'clock, they will do the payment to the drivers. Okay. So this will keep repeating every day. So it happened on first, it'll happen on second, it'll happen on third, it'll happen on fourth, it'll happen on five, it'll happen on six. Okay. So there's one example. Let's take for another example, salaries. Salaries are distributed to people, right? So salaries are distributed to people once every month. So what we are doing, we'll run a, it is like an event that happens every 1 month. And what is happening inside that event? In that event, we are giving salaries to all the employees. So this is one thing. Let us take something which runs daily. So daily, okay, we talked about Ola Uber drivers daily, right? Uh, let's say we have something which is running for every 1 hour. Okay. What runs every 1 hour? So let us say what you do is you have every 1 hour you will go and query. So there is a website. Okay. On that website you have, let's take for example Amazon. Okay. So Amazon has prices for all the products, right? So let's say I'm interested in let's a headphone. Okay. And I want to find out the price of headphone every 1 hour. So what I can do is I'll write something which will go to this Amazon website every 1 hour and get me the price of the item, and then it will put it in the table, let's assume. So this is one thing. So basically what we are looking for is, if I want to run some kind of a task every few minutes, every few, in certain interval, at a certain frequency. So I want to run some task at a frequency at some frequency. The frequency can be 1 minute. If the frequency is 1 minute, this task will run every 1 minute. If the frequency is 10 minutes, this task will run every 10 minutes. Okay. So I can do anything that I want in this task. So usually what we do is we call them housekeeping tasks. Why they are called housekeeping tasks? Because let's say if you take example of your home, every day you clean your home once, right? You'll clean your home every day once. Then you will let's say wash utensils every 6 hours. So what you're keeping your house clean. You're doing the tasks again and again at a set interval of time every few hours or every few days, right? So it is like maintenance tasks. Even if you take example of SBI, so if you submit a check to the SBI people, no, so the check money does not. It will take a day, 3 days for the check to get deposited in your account. Why does that happen? Because what they do is they do all of these. So like if they start giving check money for every one person at different time, what happens is it is not optimal for them. So what they do, they batch all of these requests together, and every day maybe at 12 o'clock, what they'll do, they'll reimburse all the money that is given via check. Okay, so something like this. So what happens is, even in MySQL, we have an option to do it. We have an option where we can trigger some kind of event every few hours or every few minutes, whatever is the time we specify. Okay, that is what is an event. An event is, it's an object that represents a task that runs at a specific interval of time or in some point. Okay, and these are used for maintenance activities. Like let's say you want to do data analysis, you want to do some task that is maintenance. Like if you take another, if I give you another example, if you take for example subscriptions, right? So let's say you have Hotstar subscription, and if this Hotstar subscription is only for 1 month, so how do you think at the end of the month your access gets revoked or your access gets revoked? So what they do is every day they'll run an event which will check. They'll run an event at 12 o'clock which will check, is this person's what do you call, subscription expired or no? So they keep checking every day. And if they see that it has been expired, they'll update the database and say false from true. Okay, something like this. So when you're doing subscription management or when you're doing daily billing and all, so at even those kind of places, events are used. So you can say these kind of tasks are called housekeeping tasks. Okay. Okay. Then these are also like triggers, but they are run at some point in time. Okay, that is a difference. So if you come from Windows or Linux, right? So in Windows, you have something called as, in Linux, you have something called as cron job. So that can be run at certain frequency. And in Windows, you have task scheduler. If I want to run exe file every few hours, no, I can specify in the task scheduler saying, run this task at an interval of this much time every few hours or every few things like that. Okay. So for an event, uh, so from so far, whatever we discussed, what are the certain special properties? So one is the interval at which it has to run. Because it is an event, what is the interval it is running? And then we have what is the task that it has to do. So we'll call it body. If it runs every few time, it has to do some activity, right? So what is the activity that is doing? So that comes in the body. And then we have, let's say we have its name. So what is the name of the event that you do? These three are main important part. So this is what also is shown in the syntax. I'll tell you. Okay. Like for example, you can also see what all are the tasks that are running using show process list. That's fine. Let us just look at a simple example. So the syntax is create event. If the event, if not exists is again same, and the name of the event on schedule. How often do you want it to do it? Okay. So we say here there is a timestamp. So if I want to do it at a particular time, then I say this at timestamp. Or if I want to do it every few moments or every few intervals, I can say every and then interval and then starts at some time and ends at what time. Okay, so interval will be every 1 minute, every 2 minutes, like that. Okay, let us look at an example. Um, let's take a better. Okay. So if you see here, no, it says create event if not scheduled current time like this. It's not. Just have a good example only. Second, let's create one. So for we'll create one example. Okay. Uh, so what we'll do, we'll create a table, and at every 1 minute we'll insert some value inside the table. Okay. So let's say I open this. say use trigger examples. Let's say create database events example. Use events example. Let's say I create a table first. Create table. So I call it timestamp. Times table. Okay. And then we'll have, let's call it, the name is time. Let's call it date time. And it is of type date time. Okay. This much is only our table. In the table, so now if I do select star from times table, see nothing, right? But what we'll do, let us say we create an event. Okay. Create event. Let's say the name of the table in event is insert into times table. Okay. Event. Create event insert into times table. Schedule on. Okay. On schedule. At current date time plus. Okay, 1 second. A way to do it plus one. Current timestamp plus interval 1 minute. Okay. Yeah. So then what we will do is we should have a begin, completion, preserve. No. So events not this recurring on schedule every 1 minute. Okay. So if I use at, what happens is it will run only once, and if I use every, it will run whatever is the time I've specified. So let's say I want to run it every 1 minute. I'll do every 1 minute starts now only. Why is it not showing? 1 second. It's current timestamp. Okay. We'll have do insert into table. Table is times table value. Say we do current timestamp. Current date is current. Right, that's not showing. 1 second. Issue 1 second. I was added it, so that is a times table value, current time. Okay. Now if I do this and end, then I think we don't even have end. And syntax. We don't have end also. Oh, it was already inserted. Yeah. Okay. So now if you see now, this has been inserted. So now the dealing of setting it back to this. After some time, you should be able to see that the item gets inserted. Just check. Select star from. See, I didn't actually insert anything into this table, but somehow again it got inserted, right? So now if I try after 1 minute, right, it will insert one more value. Just try. See, one more value came in, right? So this will keep happening. So it will keep happening till because you're not specified any end time, right? So it will continue happening every 1 minute. Okay. So you can also specify start, current, ends. You can say ends and all that is also possible. I can drop it. If I drop it, it should not run. Drop event was the name of the event. Insert into timestamp. So drop event, insert into. Okay, so now it has dropped. Now it should stop inserting after this time. So it I've inserted 4, 5 values. Okay, it has only inserted 2. So now because I've dropped now 731, 732, nothing is showing up. Because you've deleted, there is nothing shows up. So this way you can run a lot of things. Like for example, I was giving you an example of Netflix, right? So Netflix, let us say uh, people, what we want is if the user is, let's say he created the account in some time and the subscription is valid only for 30 days. And if it is more, we'll run every some time. And then if it is true, we'll mark it false. That can be done. Okay, so now it is saying that. Right, so it is deleted. So there is nothing now. So let's say we'll try to implement the one thing that I discussed about that what Netflix thing. Okay, so create table subscriptions. Okay, and then I have ID int. It's the ID of the user, and then start time, date time. Okay, and then validity. Validity is let's say 20 days. Okay, not 20. Validity is again integer of type integer, and then I have is active. Okay, is active. Let's say it is Boolean. Okay. So if you say I created this table, if I do select star from subscription, correct? CBSCRIPTIONS. Okay, it is trying to run this query. Okay, so there is nothing. So what I do is insert into subscriptions values. Let's say ID is 1. His start time is current timestamp. What is it? Do we say current date time? Next second. Current timestamp. Okay. Current timestamp minus well, let's say 20 days. Okay. Okay. So what I'm doing, so let's say we had created this in the beginning, and then his he started his subscription 20 days back, but the validity is only for 10 days, and because he had started that time, we have marked it. Okay. This guy is inserted. So let's say we want to insert 2, and his starting validity is now only, and he has inserted. So this was it. So if I do select star from subscription, so 10 is active, 1 is active, 1. Okay. But for this guy, the subscription started on 20th, kya? 120. 120 is already before 20 days. Kya? Okay. But his validity is only for 10 days. This guy's validity is also for 10 days. So what we can do is we can create a event that runs every day and finds out people like this. So is there anybody whose subscription is expired and their subscription, their account is still active? So if it is, what I'll do, I'll make it deactivated. So how can we do that? So I call it create event, deactivate subscription, deactivate EACTIV, deactivate subscription. Okay. On, so what is our text? We would say on schedule. Let's say now for now, I don't want to run it every 1 minute. I want to run it now only. So what I can do at, let's say the current time is, I'll remove this. Okay, on schedule at current timestamp. Schedule at current timestamp. Okay, fine. Do. So what do we want to do? We want to update is active is equal to false. Update table. Update table. What is the name of the table? The name of the table is subscriptions. Set is active is false. Where what is the condition? Where current date time minus start time minus start time is greater than 10 days. So how do we do get days? There should be a function for get days, right? Let's just search second. No? So get days from date time MySQL. Date def function to retrieve the number of days between two dates. Okay, date def is a function. Day returns the day of the month. Now I don't want the day of the month. We want the number of difference between two dates. Okay. Date def. Okay, so this gives a number of days difference. So what I can do is I'll do date def current timestamp. It is current timestamp, no current underscore timestamp. So current timestamp is giving me what is the current time, and then minus start time is greater than validity. So what are you doing? If the difference between the current times, today's date and when you started is greater than your validity, so then we are setting you as false. It means we don't want you to access anything. So if I run this, say, because it doesn't have a end, no, even if I don't do a delimiter, it should be fine because it's only one single statement. Incorrect parameters count in the call. Okay, should not be comma. It should not be minus. It should be comma. Okay, so it has run. It has created this. If I open now subscriptions, right? Select star from subscriptions. See what has happened? Is active became 0. Why did is active become 0? Because we what did we do? Sorry, we updated. We ran this event. So in real case, what would happen? In real case, this event would be running every few hours or every day once, so that if any person his validity expires, we will reset him to not active. Like for how we can do that here is on schedule at means it will run only once. Instead, what I'll do, uh, I'll make it run every 1 minute and we'll show you. Okay. First we'll do drop event Test event name. Okay, so we dropped the unknown event deactivate subscription. Why? Okay, sorry. So because I forgot to tell you one thing. So if we run an event only once, right? So because this event is running only once the event gets run, right, it gets deleted. So if you have to store that event, we have to say preserve. There is a keyword for it. Where is that? Where is that? That on completion preserve. Sorry, on completion preserve. On completion preserve. If you do, even after it runs, it will be saved. If you do enter, no. So now this has run. Drop event selected subscription. Okay, so it has deleted. So now let's say I'll create it to run every 1 minute. Okay, on schedule every 1 minute. Okay, so now this will run every 1 minute. So if we do enter, we show events only then. So there is only one event that we have created in this DB, and it has events list. It has a name who has defined it. So its type is recurring. Why is it recurring? Because it is running every 1 minute, right? So recurring is anything which keeps happening again and again. Okay, and its interval value is what, 1, and the interval field is 1 minute. So it says when is it starting, when is it ending. Okay, so now let us say how we can see if it is working or not. Let's say I do insert into this table, insert into subscriptions values. Say the user ID now is 3, and this guy's subscription started timestamp minus 15 days, minus 15 days, and then but it was only for 10 days. But since because you have not run him anything, it is currently active. Okay. So I inserted this. I'll quickly show how it might modify. So this is the guy okay, 10 days. No, yeah, it happened very fast. Let's quickly do one more for current timestamp 15 days, and it is for 20 days, let's say. Okay, then it will remain true, it will not become false. Because it is 1 minute, right, it happens very quickly. So this is one. So now let's say there was one more guy, current timestamp was 25 days. His ID is 5. If I run, so now it is 1. In 1 minute, what will happen is this function, this statement will run and it will update it. Okay, it should have updated by now. Okay, let's wait. Okay, validity was 20 days minus 25 days. Okay, it should update. See, it got updated, right? So what basically we are doing is if you want to run anything after some point in time or every few minutes, every few hours, we can use this. Okay, so you can put any statement that you want here. You can do update, you can do delete, you can do insert, whatever. Okay, so anything that you want to run every few intervals, you use events for that. Okay, and you can run anything at least once, only once, or you can run them in whatever interval you want. You can also give starts timing when you want it to start and when you want it to end. Okay, so then so if you don't give any, if you give on schedule at, it will execute it only once. Yeah, I don't think there is anything else in events. So just this much only. Okay, if you want to run anything frequently, you use events. You can run it either once or you can keep running it again and again. I'll stop for a while. So anybody has any question?
So when we insert something, so you have written current timestamp minus interval 15 days. What it means?
Hmm. So it is like current timestamp is current timestamp is what is the current date. Okay. So if I do select current timestamp, it gives me what is the current time. Okay. So minus interval 25 days means subtract 25 days from this.
We will go back
Go back.
like
If I do
25.
plus, yeah, if I do plus, it should interval 1 day. If I do print this, you see it is doing 210. Today is what? Today is 29, right?
9.
So you can do year also, I think 1 year. I do and I do enter. क्या हुआ एक सेकंड ना so it is going to 2024.
जिसमें एग्जीक्यूट हम लोग किए हैं, इंसर्ट इनटू सब्सक्रिप्शन वैल्यू 5, करंट टाइम स्टैम्प इंटरवल 15 डेज, वो नीचे
Mm-hmm.
15 लाइन पे। तो
Mm-hmm.
उसका मतलब क्या, कैसा वो वर्क कर रहा है बैकएंड में, कैसा वर्क कर रहा है
Okay,
वो जीरो।
so yeah, good.
So I just want to know like what is its work, how it's performing in this
So
case.
this is also one expression. So what it is doing
Okay,
when I say like this, right? So let's say
okay,
ये हटाते हैं, ठीक है? So if I would not do this, if I would say 5 minus 2, ये क्या insert करेगा table में?
okay,
It will insert 3, right? Because this value, the first item is of type integer, right? Subscriptions, if you open IDs of type int, right?
okay, I
And
got
what
it.
I'm giving,
Mhm,
what I'm giving it an expression. So this expression is
mhm,
evaluated first. 5 minus 2 becomes 3, and 3 is inserted.
mhm,
So similarly,
mhm.
so what is happening? So this is
Okay, I
one
got it.
value. This is one date stamp. This is another date stamp value. So you're subtracting one date from another date, and then you are giving the difference. So like
Mhm.
if I do 10 minus 1 year, if I would do an insert, it would put 9 there, right?
So another year, yes, sir. And in update, like what is start time? When we update the start time,
Start
what is the
time.
start time?
Okay. So if you see this, no, select start from subscriptions. Start time is the
Mhm.
column name. So this date
Okay,
diff
okay,
gives
okay.
us the
Mm,
difference of days. So what I do
mm.
is I'll run this every 1 hour and then I'll see all the users. If any user is crossing the limit, if a subscription is over, and then I'll mark he is active as false.
If a person take a subscription for 1 day, so how can we write current date, current time stamp?
What if a person's subscription is 1 day?
Yeah. So how will you
Okay.
get update like your subscription is about to
So
finish?
it should be zero. So like for example, if I give you, let's say, what do you say, current timestamp minus interval 1 day, no? So no, because it is, let's say not 1 day, I do 23 hours. Okay. And if I do date diff, mm, date diff, I want to find out the difference between current
Time.
timestamp and then current timestamp minus current timestamp minus 23 hours. 23 hours. Okay. So interval 23 hours. So this should give me zero if it is giving date difference. Let's say unknown identity current timestamp. Okay. Okay. That so it gives one. Yeah. Then this will turn to let's say if I do 12, 20 hours. Okay. So this is considering, I think, the, what do you say? Hmm, the whole number, even if it is 1 hour, it should give zero only for current
I think
timestamp minus current timestamp. So even if it is
current time stamp
one
plus
sec,
20. Okay.
no,
So I'm saying like
if I
that.
do,
Current time is okay. Mm,
I think it is like this. So if it is greater than 12 hours, it gives one. 12 is zero. If it is 11, zero. 16. I don't know. how this logic is working. For 20, it is giving me one, but for other hours, it is not giving. But let's say you actually wanted to find out the actual difference. No? Then what you do is you don't do date difference. You do, there should be a function to calculate date time difference, full
Okay.
difference of not just getting the days. So what I was doing was I was trying to get here the days. You can do the difference of the whole, what do you say, time by time,
And
second by second,
second
minute
by
by minute,
second.
hour by hour. And then you see if it is actually greater than whatever the days he had subscribed for.
Okay. So what is the syntax? Date time.
So for date time difference, yeah, to check. I don't
Yeah, so
remember the
date time.
function name. Date time difference. Time diff. Time diff is the function. So you give the whole, no, not this. This wouldn't be. Yeah, this will work. Time diff, and then you say what is the whole time. Okay. So
Okay.
from here, you should be able to find out if it is greater than, uh, let's say if you do this, it should purely give me in terms times of how many hours, how many days, how many weeks, like that. Weeks it won't give actual number. So see, it is saying it is greater than 240 days. No, 240,
What?
240 hours. Okay, okay. So it is giving me 240 hours.
Mm,
Okay, so if it is, if I see that it is less than 1 day, if it is 23 hours and all, you can do the math, right? So you use appropriate function and then decide what logic you want to add inside this thing. Okay.
okay. So sir, time diff. After that,
Hmm.
inside the column, like time stamp, comma, time stamp plus, like plus 24 hours. It will give me the like how it is decreasing like second by second, and when it will over, when it will become zero, the difference becomes zero, then my subscription is overed. Like,
सॉरी समझा नहीं और एक बार बता.
तो जैसे कि टाइम टाइम डिफ के अंदर मैं अगर लिखता हूँ करंट टाइम स्टैम्प कॉमा करंट टाइम
हम्म,
इंटरवल 20, जैसे जो लिखा हुआ है, ठीक है, ये जो
हम्म.
लिखा हुआ है मतलब 17 नंबर पे जो लिखा हुआ है, ये 20 घंटा के बाद मेरे को रिजल्ट दे देगा जीरो, मतलब बुलियन जो फंक्शन है उसमें मेरे को जीरो दे देगा, मतलब मेरा सब्सक्रिप्शन खत्म हो जाएगा जब ये
हम्म.
20 घंटा खत्म हो जाएगा तब। ये 17 लाइन जो है इसका मतलब ये है ना।
This means the this is ये 20 घंटे
टाइम
पहले है.
टाइम डिफ ये
ये
ओके।
टाइम सेम
और
सेम यहाँ पे डेट मिल रहा था मेरे को. नहीं, ये डेट क्यों डाला
हाँ,
मैंने? डेट डेट डिफ
तो
plus
टाइम
date diff
डिफ। हाँ
plus date diff. So date diff was giving me the date, time gives me the full time in terms of time, in terms of how many hours. Okay. There should be some
तो
other
सर।
function to give date time diff as well. Okay.
हम्म।
So you
तो
can
सर
make
ये
use.
90, ये सर 19 नंबर का जो लिखा हुआ है इसमें अगर करंट टाइम स्टैम्प के बाद अगर इंटरवल अगर मैं 5 मिनट का रखता हूँ तो 5 मिनट के बाद मेरा सब्सक्रिप्शन खत्म हो जाएगा, इसका ये मतलब है ना।
नहीं नहीं, ये हम बस सब्ट्रैक्शन कर रहे हैं, वो आप डिफाइन करते हो. तो अगर आप ये टेबल देखोगे ना, सेलेक्ट स्टार फ्रॉम सब्सक्रिप्शंस, तो इसमें मैं
हम्म,
डिफाइन कर रहा था वैलिडिटी कितने दिन की है. तो ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ दिस इट वाज वर्किंग. सो इट वाज डूइंग करंट टाइम स्टैम्प माइनस स्टार्ट टाइम, एंड इट वाज सीइंग अगर ये वैलिडिटी क्रॉस किया है तो फिर ये उनको फॉल्स कर दे रहा था. ओके.
स्टैम्प से
क्या?
मतलब मतलब मेरा 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 बेस टाइम जो होगा वो करंट टाइम स्टैम्प होगा ना, मतलब अभी से जब जब तक मेरा 20 दिन खत्म नहीं होता तब तक मेरे चलेगा,
वही वही.
इसका ये मतलब है।
करंट टाइम स्टैम्प माइनस जब भी आपने शुरू किया था.
हम्म।
ओके.
करंट टाइम
ठीक है.
स्टैम्प मतलब अभी का, ठीक है ठीक है।
Hmm. Yeah, I don't think there is much in event. Similar, whatever examples I gave you. Uh, okay. Anybody else has anything? We'll go to the next one, that is index. What are indexes? Why do we need indexing and all?
हेलो सर.
Yeah, yeah, tell.
सर जैसे आपण अभी यूज कर रहे हैं इवेंट्स, तो ये
Hmm.
इवेंट्स बस अपन अपन टाइम स्टैम्प के जैसे ही फंक्शंस के साथ यूज, मतलब टाइम स्टैम्प,
No,
टाइम
no,
जिसमें
no.
आता है।
You can do anything, not just time. So the
हाँ
only thing is you it is like running a function only. How you are running
हाँ।
stored procedure, how you are running trigger, same
हम्म।
thing, but the advantage is आपको ये कब देखो अगर सोचो आप you are working in a company, okay, and then you have to give salary to your employees every month. So
ओके।
if it was manually done, how would you do? You would have to go on first of every month and then go press a button and run that trigger. And then what would happen? Let's say the trigger would go and add this money to your employee's account, right? So now what we are doing is we are automating that whole process. So MySQL will only take care of it that every month on first date at 1 a.m. or every 30 days, it will automatically go and update the salary of the users. So now you don't have to manually go and run the function or run the procedure. So whatever
सर
is
फिर
inside the
ट्रिगर, ट्रिगर तो बस अपना जो कोई फंक्शन है वो ट्रिगर बनाता है, पर इवेंट जो है वो उसको इंटरवल के बाद एग्जीक्यूट करता है क्या, मतलब ये यही डिफरेंस है क्या दोनों में?
so trigger was whenever you insert into a table, update into a table, delete into a table, no, trigger is executed that time.
ओके।
Event is executed at whatever time you specify it to. We are giving it schedule, right? On schedule, every means at some interval, at means at exactly what time you want to run.
सर तो फिर इवेंट सर मतलब ट्रिगर का भी काम कर सकता है इवेंट?
No, but how can so two different so you can write the same body
हाँ।
under whatever was there inside the body of the trigger can be written inside the event, but trigger will always run after or before a data manipulation language command, right? Insert, update,
यस।
delete. But event will only run whenever you have specified it to run.
हाँ ओके।
Okay.
वही सर थोड़ा डिफरेंस समझ में नहीं आ रहा था।
Okay. Okay. Cool. So
थैंक यू
we'll
सर।
discuss about what are index and then why we use indexes and then I'll go. Okay. So before that, I'll explain you what indexing is and all. Cool. So let's take for example, you go to a library. Okay, leave library. You have a these big books which hold. Let's take for example dictionary. Okay. So let's say I tell you go tell me the meaning of record. So what will you do? So you will go see find out where is R. Okay, and somewhere thoda upar niche wherever is R, you go and find out. Okay, so record is somewhere near R, and then you'll tell me the meaning of record keyword. Okay, that is fine. But let us say I had one dictionary in which the words were not proper. The words were jumbled. Okay, so it is not like it starts with A, B, C, D, and all. कैसे भी है. So let's assume there are 1 lakh words, and the words are such that and any word can be anywhere. Then if I tell you to tell me the meaning of present, or let's say I tell you to tell me the meaning of infinity, then what you will have to do, you'll have to go every page, every line by line and find, is infinity here? No. Is infinity here? No. Is infinity here? No. Is infinity here? No. So you have to go through 1 lakh words and then find out, okay, infinity is 55,432nd word. So you have to go till there and then tell me, okay, infinity is here, right? So in the second case, it is very difficult for me, or it is very difficult for anyone to go through all of them and find out, okay, this is the word. So that's why what we have done is we have indexed the dictionary. How have we indexed? It's like index is nothing but arranging. So we have arranged the dictionary in such a way that everything that starts with A comes first, everything that starts with B comes next, everything that starts with C comes after that, like that. So basically, that is what is indexing. So the simple idea is you are storing all the, in case of database, it is rows. In case of, let's say, some other type of, in case of some other type of a data structure, it is whatever. If it is a list of numbers, you're storing the numbers separately, like that, and so on. So indexing means storing the items in such a way that you are able to retrieve it very, very fast. Okay. So that is the basic idea of indexing. So how we do it in MySQL or how we do it for other coding languages and all. Okay, I'll try to explain that. So let us say I had we have user IDs. Okay, the user IDs of the students are no, we'll not do user IDs also. We'll do one thing. Names. Okay, so we get names, right? So the names are take for example, Sushant is there, and then Pavitra is there, and then we have Ritik, and then we have Suraj, lot of PQRS. Okay, fine. So these are the names. So if I were to put them jumbled, no, then it becomes very difficult for me to see, identify who, if I have to, if somebody tells me, get me all the marks scored by Ritik, then what I'll do, I will go one by one. Is first person Ritik? No. Second Ritik? No. Third person is Ritik. Okay, fine. I'll return Ritik's marks. But let us say there are 1 lakh students. Then if I have to go find Ritik, no, it becomes very difficult for me. Right? So that is why what I do is I will create an index for all these people. So how would I do that? So what I'll do, I'll say store the results of all people from all the names who are in A at location 1 to 1000. All the names of people who are in B, store it from 1001 to 2500. So like this, similarly, I'll do for all the way till Z. Okay. So now what happens? If I have to find where is somebody with R, I'll directly go to and see with what address I have to search if somebody's name is starting with R. Okay. Then what do? I'll see if I'll find out some result, some value saying go search from 55,000 to 70,000. Okay. So I'll go directly here. Okay. Inside this, what I'll do, I'll maintain another table. So inside R, if the name is starting with A, where should I go? If the name is starting with B, it's like if the name is starting with RA, if the name is starting with RB, if the name is starting with RC, and so on and so forth. So then I'll give again for name starting with RA, go from 55,000 to 56,000. From RB, 56,000 to 58,000, so on and so forth. Okay. So all of this is not, it is not meant, we don't have to do anything. It is actually maintained by MySQL itself. So we just have to tell it, key, create an index for this. So then what it does, it creates some data structure inside so that it becomes very fast for you to search all the values. Okay. So see now what happened. So if it was not arranged properly, then it would take me 1 lakh at worst. In worst case, if Ritik's name was last, no, I'll have to go through 1 lakh items and find out. Okay. So now because I have broken it down into smaller and smaller, at max I may have to go to how many steps? I may have to go to 6. His name is what? RITIK, no? So first I see where is R coming in. R is coming in 55,000 to 60. Then I directly go where is RI. RI is somewhere. T is RIT is in this. Okay. So then it becomes where I'll find Ritik's name in maybe 10 to 15 searches only. Okay. So where is 10 to 15 and where is 1 lakh? If you were to put this in time, so let's say if I say for one search, it takes 1 millisecond. Okay. So in case of sorted, in case of index, it was taking me 10 millisecond, 10 to 15, 10 to 20 millisecond. But in case of non-indexed, 1 lakh. So 1 lakh divided by millisecond means 1000. So 100 seconds. So almost 1 minute. Okay. So that is what is the difference between when you say you are indexing some column and searching versus you are not indexing it and searching. Okay. So that is why it is always advised to index columns when you want to search them more. Okay. So did you guys at least get the basic idea? What is indexing?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. So in MySQL, right? So whenever we create a primary key or whenever we say a key is unique, no, in the back end only, MySQL creates indexes for all of these. Okay. So that is why we say we should always search with the primary key or we should search with keys that are unique. Why? Because indexes are created for these kind of for these kind of columns. If any column is primary, if any column is unique, we create indexes for them. Okay. So that is why they take people's phone number, right? Let's say My phone number is 1234566 and all. So phone numbers are stored as primary key IDs. And then when you log in, right? So you give them your phone number, they quickly search in the table who is there with this phone number. And because it is primary key or it is unique, it is indexed and they're able to quickly find out where is your location, where is your are you a user or no, and all. And then whatever details you want, they send it back to you. Okay. So to rows that are not primary key, not unique, those also you can make them as index, and then you can search based on them also. But the problem with making every column as index, the issue is it will. So when you make some column as index, right, you have to store some extra value data structure for it, just to say this row, this column, where is this present? Like I said, right, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, all. So I had to store this somewhere else, saying I, if somebody comes and wants to see what is for A, then go and find out where is its mapping and fetch the data, right? So we have to store something extra. So now if you make lot of indexes, all of this will be stored extra. And anytime you do an update, delete, or insert, right, all of these indexes will have to get reordered. Why? Because you have inserted a new item. Now the indexes may change because it depends where you are inserting that item, how it has to map that item to be fetched very fast and all. Okay. So usually we do indexes only on columns that are always constant. It's like very less chances of removing them. Like phone number won't change frequently, right? So once you register a user with a phone number, his phone number will always remain the same. How often do you change? You don't change the phone number. So email ID also doesn't change, right? So those kind of columns are indexed. Okay. So you can also, I was saying, you can also create an index on a non-primary key, non-unique column. Okay. Whatever we discussed, it is the same thing. So all the indexes that are all the primary indexes is known as clustered index, and non-primary are known as non-clustered or secondary index. Nothing special in whatever I discussed. So why we need indexing? Because we don't want to do sequential search. Sequential search takes us a very long time to find out items, and indexing creates special tables which have addresses of where the data is present. Just looked at a book example. So again, create index is very nothing fancy. You just say create index, name of the index, and you can create it on a single column or more than one column. So give the table name and then column names. Okay. Just to show it here, what table we have subscriptions now. So let's do select star from subscriptions. So its ID is not index or anything. So I will create an index and ID. Create ID index, create index. On table name is what subscriptions, and then the column name is ID. So now this has created an index on it. Yes, if I refresh, it should show here. So it is not showing. Okay. If we do, uh, there should be some. I think there is a way to check what is the index. Show indexes or direct show index. Just show indexes. Table name. What is the table name? Show indexes from table name. Sorry. Okay, so if you see, we have created one index. The name of the index is ID, and it is on what column? The column name is ID. Okay. And what is the index type and all? So it has stored it in a binary tree. It is saying. So there are some other features. Okay. So dropping index is again name, drop index, name of the index, drop index from table. 1 second. Drop कैसे है? Drop index name on table name. Okay. So wait, I'll explain what is algorithm block and all. Okay. So I told you, right? So in the backend, they are creating some data structure through which they're storing. So different storage engines use different data structures. just for your information. No need to know as of now. It is fine. So drop index. I'll tell you what is the issue with dropping indexes. Okay. So whenever you want to drop an index, right, you have to delete this whole. Right, you have to delete this whole data structure. So there are different options through which you can do it. Uh, you can say by using which algorithm you want to delete this, and using what kind of lock you want to delete this. Few types of algorithms are default in place copy. We'll discuss what these algorithms are. Why it is saying this is it takes time to delete the index, right? Because it would have created a whole new data structure and you have to drop all of it. So the different options are copy in place, and there was one more default. What is it? Okay, default copy and in place. Default would do it. What is the default one? The default should be in place only, I think. So in copy, what we are doing is we are actually creating a new table without the index, and then we're copying the whole data. So because if what we are doing, we are copying the whole data, it can be a slightly slower than in place, but it is useful if it is a large table and you don't want to block other operations, because when you're dropping index, right, so the tables are locked. Okay, and what in place does is in place will remove the data structure directly. It doesn't create a new table. Okay. And if the algorithm is not defined, if it is default, in place algorithm is only used. If you're dropping index from a column which is unique, then if you have created an index on unique column, no, if the constraint is unique and if you drop index, even that the uniqueness will go away. Once you drop the index, now you can add more than one similar item. We go to lock options. So lock is again how you want to, while deleting the indexes, you have to take a lock on the table. So what kind of lock you want? So what do I mean by lock? If you have taken lock on something, only you can read all the data from it. Nobody else can read it. That is called a lock. So shared lock is something where people can read from it, but they can't write to it. That is what is known as shared lock. And then default is there is no lock. Okay. And exclusive lock is you don't want anybody to read or write anything. Only you will. What do I say? Only you can. Nobody else has any control on the table till you do the delete of the index. Okay. Then this is a simple example. Discuss about show index, and then whatever the queries in show index. So I showed you here, right? Here. So table name, key name. These you need not worry. Then you can see what is the type of the index type. Okay. And then this also we discussed, right? So any index that is primary index, it's called as clustered, and anything that is non-primary, other all type of indexes are called non-clustered. Okay. So there are some differences between them. What is a clustered index? What is a non-clustered index? Clustered is again for primary, and then non-clustered is for non-primary. So clustered index data is stored directly in the same table, whereas non-clustered, we create again separate data structures for that and store it. Clustered index is usually large because it has to be, it is on primary row, and primary row has to be very fast. And then yeah, that was clustered and non-clustered indexes. And when you should avoid indexes, if the table is very small, creating index doesn't give you any benefits because the details are anyway very less only. And if a table has very frequent updates, right? Let's say if you're updating the primary key, or if you're updating a index which is unique, every time you do an update, it has to modify its index such that it has to be able to fetch the row very fast, right? So because of that, you should not create indexes on rows, or we should not create indexes on columns where the updates happen very, very fast. We should only create indexes on columns where we are not updating that frequently. Okay. Again, columns that are frequently manipulated should not be indexed. So I'll stop for a while. Any doubts?
सर ये इंडेक्स एक्चुअल में कैसे वर्क करता है? अगर यूनिक आईडी 1 से लेके 10 तक नहीं हो, मतलब रैंडम हो, 3 4 बाद में 6 7 ऐसा। और बाद में अगर अपन इंडेक्स आईडी उसमें डालेंगे तो फिर अगर अपने को फोर्थ नंबर का कोई चाहिए क्वांटिटी जहाँ पे आईडी 5 6 हो, तो फिर ये इंडेक्स आईडी वहाँ पे टेबल के साथ शो करता है या फिर बैकएंड में रहता है बस?
So it is not a table. If I want to explain you to do it, so how does it stores it as a binary tree. Okay. So for your example, basic understanding, I told you a table. So let us say how is a binary search? It's called a binary tree. How binary trees work is, so let us say the indexes are currently 5 and 7, and initially 5 was added. So 5 is only one item. So 5 add here. Okay. Then what do they do? Let's say we add 7. Okay. So 7 is greater than 5. So I add it on the left side. Okay. So then next somebody adds 1. Okay. So then what I'll do, I'll add 1 is lesser than 5. So add 1 here. Okay. Then let us say somebody adds 3. Then how will I add 3? 5, it is less than 3. So I come onto the right side. It is greater than 1. So I add 3 here. Okay. So now let us say I delete 1. So if we delete 1, no, so we'll have to rearrange this and it will become 3 should come here. Or let us say when it becomes very big, right? That time what happens is, so you have you have nodes created everywhere down, 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 down. So if anyone in the middle changes, right? So all of them have to get updated. So because of that, it takes a lot of time. And fetching becomes very easy. So let's say I have 1024 values. Okay. So it is like this. This is called a binary search tree, but so let's assume there are a lot of values like this. If I have to search, right, so it is modified such that all the values onto my right side are always greater values, and all the values onto my left side are always smaller values. Okay, so let us say I had 15 here, I had 10 here, so I had 13 here, I had 11 here, I had 14 here. Okay, so now if I want to search where is 11 present. Okay, so what do? I'll come look at the top. What is the value at the top? The value at the top is 15. Okay, so is 11 greater than 15 or smaller than 15? It is smaller than 15. So what do? I come on to the left side. So the left side, I see the item is 10. So 10 is greater than 15 or smaller than 15? It is smaller than 15. So I go to right side. I come to 13. 13 I see, is 13 greater than 15 or smaller than 15? It is greater. If it is greater, I'll go towards the left side. So now I see I found out 11 here. Okay, so after how many steps? 1, 2, 3, fourth step. So in fourth step only I was able to find out 11. Okay, but if I was going to write it in a normal way, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way till 11. So I would have taken 11 steps if it was organized. If it was not sorted and if the 11 was somewhere all the way at the end, I would have to go through all the rows and I would find 11 at the end. So what in the backend MySQL will do is MySQL will store the keys in such a way that it will store it in tables like this, not table, it will store it in trees like this, so that it becomes very quickly if you want to fetch any item. Okay. And then what is done is, so I store 10 here and all the information related to 10 is stored. Like there is a pointer, 10 points to value and 10, it will map to the table. Let's say name, age, roll number and all. Okay, so this is how it is mapped. It is when you learn trees and all, no? When you learn how to search inside trees, you should be able to understand. Now it's okay if you understand that we use binary trees in the backend and then we search for using that.
Oh, so sir, these values like 15, 10, 13, 11, and 14, they actually stored in our table, and then we are applying indexing for that.
So they are stored in a table, plus also they are structured. So table does not mean actually, MySQL maintains a table in the backend.
Okay.
So when we say table, right? So to you it is looking like a table, but MySQL can store it however it want to. Okay, so it presents to us as a table at the end, but inside what it is doing is it actually has this tree structure or different data structures, different uh, SQLs. MySQL uses different, and then you can even change the type of data structure that you're using. Okay, so you can even write your own data structure and add it at the end to MySQL.
और सर अगर अपने
Whatever
पास
is
कोई कोई टेबल होगा अपने पास जिसमें अपने आईडीज भी दिए सब दिए, पर आपने को फोर्थ या फिफ्थ नंबर का कोई निकालना है कि फिफ्थ या फोर्थ नंबर पे कौन सा है, तब अपन इंडेक्सिंग एक्चुअल में कैसे यूज करेंगे वहां पे?
so how will you use indexing that time?
हाँ
You
मतलब
want to
एग्जांपल से, हाँ
so fourth and fifth. Then what we do is so indexing when you are going to use whenever you are going to do where clause and ID is equal to whatever value you have. What do
हाँ
you
हाँ
say? Used it. No, there you'll use. But if you want
हाँ
to do limit query and all, no, so there
हाँ
not just indexing, lot of other things also will come into play. Let us look at next thing. What is a cursor? So cursor is again, it is a just like how we had loops, we had while, we had repeat. No? Cursor is a similar concept. So what happens in cursor is when you do a select query, right? So let's start from subscriptions. So when I do a query, so I'm getting all the rows right in one go. So let's say inside a what do you say? Inside my stored procedure or inside a trigger, what I want to do is I want to iterate over all these columns one by one, all these rows one by one. First, I want to do some modification on this row. Then I want to do some modification on this row. Then I want to do some modification on third row. Then I want to read fourth row. Then I want to read fifth row. So if I want to do one by one, so we have a feature called as cursor. So what cursor does is using cursor, we can go over one row by other row, one row by other row, one by one, and use all its values. Okay. But if you see select and all, you cannot specifically go one value and then read it, then go next value and read it. Okay. But what cursor does is it takes all the values that come from this and then it puts it into a it's the data type is only it's called cursor. It is put into the cursor and then the cursor helps you go over items one by one. Okay. Stored, we can use it, can iterate through. So cursors are there are different types of cursors. One is let's say it is only read only cursor, then non-scrollable. It means you can only go in one direction. Once you go in the front, you can't go in the back. Okay. Case sensitive. Okay. So let's say when you do a select query, after that, if something changes, if you don't want it to be reflected into your cursor, then those kind of cursors are called asensitive cursors. Whenever you want to use a cursor, right? So there are certain steps you need to follow. First is you need to declare the cursor. Then you declare the variable condition. Then you open the cursor. Once you open the cursor, you keep fetching items from it as long as there are rows. Okay. So as long as there are rows, you keep reading the rows one by one, one by one, one by one. And once all the rows are, oh, once you read all the rows, you complete you close the cursor. I'll show the example a little better. So as mentioned, we can use cursors inside, what do you say, inside stored procedures. So if you see what we are doing here is, there is a statement, declare the name of the cursor is CUR, the data type is cursor, and for what you want to declare the cursor for a select statement. Okay. And then this continue handler, what this does is whenever there is no item in the cursor, whenever you don't, when there is nothing else to read, this continue handler for not found is called. Okay, this will set done to 1. So this is just declaration here. It will happen at the end. Then we are using a loop, and then we are fetching every single item, and then we are inserting into the table. Okay, if you want to, we can run this code and just see an example. Okay, say we have tutorials is a table. Tutorials is a table. Tutorials table both are inserted. Okay, both are inserted. Table backup. Backup is same, nothing different. Okay, example. Before that, if you see the table, right? So the table has ID, title, author, and date, and backup also has same ID, title, and author and date. So what we're going to do is we are going to read one by one row. If I do select star from tutorials, I not added the other rows. It didn't work, I think. Adding the one now. Sandra was already added, so it's okay. We do select star from tutorials. So you should see these 5 people are added. So now what we will do, we are defining this function, this uh, procedure. So what are we doing inside the procedure? We are, so there is one variable that says done. So this done, whenever it is becoming 1, we are coming out of the loop. Okay. Then we have tutorial ID that is used to take. So these are declared for fetching all the values from the table. Okay. Then we have a cursor. Cursor is declared. Cursor is declared for what? For this statement, select statement. And then we are declaring a handler. It's called continue handler. Whenever not found, if you don't find any more values in the select statement, this is being declared. And at this time, what it does is whenever it doesn't find any more value, it will set done to 1. So done is initially 0, then done is set to 1. Whenever done is set, we are coming out of the loop. If done is equal to 1, then leave label 1. So the label 1 ends here. Okay. So then if you see what we are doing inside the loop, so the statement is called fetch. So whenever you run fetch, whatever is the current item set, wherever the cursor is currently pointing to, all of those values are stored into these variables that were declared. Tutorial ID, tutorial title, tutorial date. Okay. So once we get all the values and then we are adding it into the table. So because we have read some value, done is not 1. So done is 0. So we again come back. We do the same thing till current becomes null. So once empty. So once current becomes empty, we set done to 1, and then done becomes 1, and then we leave the label. We come out and we end the loop. And after all, we are done reading everything, we close the cursor. Okay, so if we create this function for procedure first. Okay, so this has been created. If I do what do you say? Select star from backup. You should see. What is the name of the table? Backup only, no? Okay, why is nothing coming? Some issue. Let's check. Select star from. Oh, sorry. How will it come? We didn't run only, no? Call example proc. So now we have run. Once we have run, it should update all the values. And now if I do select star from backup, now you see all the values have been added inside the table, right? So what we did, we iterated through each row one by one, and then we modified the values. We didn't modify, we added it to other table. And what all things to keep in mind? One is how you're declaring the cursor. Then how do we set, we need to use some variable, right? Which will tell that all the items in the cursor are over, you don't have to read anymore. So that is done here. And then we're doing an open, we're doing a fetch, and then we're doing a close. Okay. Anybody has any doubts? So I think we'll stop here. Next is we have transactions and all. I'll try to cover transactions tomorrow. Okay. So which is done. This is over. We're done sort procedure indexing. So this and this, this, okay, both we'll try to do tomorrow, and then remaining ones we'll do next week. Okay, so anybody has any questions, anything you want to ask? Once these topics are slightly advanced, so I didn't spend much time. So, but if you understand the basics, it is fine. You can practice more later on. Mm, yeah. Any doubts? Anything you guys want to discuss?
Hello, sir.
Yeah, tell me, Rishikesh.
Sir, can you please tell me once what is the difference between a function, trigger, and event? मतलब compare these three
Function, trigger, and event. Okay.
events.
So you should not compare function, trigger, and event. You should compare function, procedure, trigger, and event.
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay. So others also. Anybody wants to answer? Anybody feels they know one difference at least? What is difference between a function? What is difference between function and trigger at least? Anybody wants to answer? Kanniras? No? Nobody?
Sir, I know one difference that
Yeah,
function
yeah.
does the thing that we if you write something code in there and says and we assign the function name, then every time we call the function does the same task. But in
Even
trigger do the things after the functions, insert after doing this following query or insert before, like this. Is this
mm,
right?
So if you see, function has a return value first thing, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Trigger does not have any return value. Event also
Yes.
does not have any return value. Correct. Function has input variables.
Yes.
Trigger does not have any input variables. Event
Yes.
does not have any input variables. Right?
Yes, sir.
You
Yes,
run
sir.
you run trigger specific to a table. So trigger is connected to a table. It is on after doing something on a table, on doing something on a table. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Whereas function is not connected to a table. Even event is not connected. You can event is like at every few minutes you can run it on any table you want to,
Yes,
right?
sir. Right.
And then function can be called anytime you want. You can call ad hocly anytime you want. Trigger you cannot call anytime you want. Trigger is only run whenever you do a insert, update, delete command. Okay. And event is only run whenever it's supposed to run. Like whenever its interval comes, it runs that time. Whatever desired frequency you have set it to run, it will only run that time. Okay. And
Yes, sir.
inside a trigger, you can't run select query in any of them. You can only run select star, that kind of query in procedure. But you can still do update, insert, and all the inside function also you can do a insert. Inside trigger also you can do a insert. Inside procedure also you can do a insert. Inside event also you can do a insert command. Commands you can use in all of them. Okay. And then in trigger you have in and out special variables which helps you say what was before and what is after.
Yes, sir. Understood.
Okay, so these are some of the differences.
Okay, sir.
Cool. Anybody else? So we will do one thing. So 15 minutes are there now. We'll try to design Facebook. Okay. Let's say not. We'll try to design Twitter today. So databases for Twitter. What all tables we'll have for Twitter. What all we will need and all that. Okay. And we'll write some basic queries. So anybody wants to I want it to be a discussion. You can keep unmuting your mics and talking. So what all tables do you think we'll need if you're making Twitter website? Come on, nobody wants to talk. Nothing.
If I am the user, then I need to put my username, password,
So we are talking. Okay.
details,
Yeah,
details,
you need to store
my details,
user.
user details.
Okay, you need to store user details. Okay, Twitter user
Yes,
details.
yes.
Okay, cool. Then what else? Ritik,
Uh, so the comments like which we put
comments
the text,
on what
text.
do you put comments? You'll put comments on tweets, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
tweets
you'll need a way to store tweets. Okay, and you mentioned comments.
and tags also me.
Okay,
That
tags. What else? What else do
tags
we need? Pavitra, what do you think? What else we'll need if you're making a Twitter
Like
database?
people's details.
Okay, people's detail, Twitter user details. You're already there.
Yeah.
So we are missing
Specifically,
one
we
more.
can mention
Yeah, good. Sorry.
their date of birth or their specific details.
Okay, so I will do that inside the table. So we are missing one more special thing. People keep posting, right? I have this much dash, this much dash. What are we missing? Sushant,
Like
likes is one thing. Likes is one thing. What else?
follower.
Followers. Yeah, followers is the
follower
most
important.
important thing, right? So we have everybody. If you follow somebody, uh, you follow some person, somebody follows you. We need to keep count of that. Okay, so this is a basic requirement.
Message.
Message, okay, message we'll keep it at later point of time. So like this is the most minimum requirement, right? So we will need user details, okay, and then we will need tweets. We will need comments on tweets. Tags for now we'll keep it out, okay, and we will need
User ID.
yeah, these are table names, okay. These are all the table names. Okay, so these are all the table names. User details is there, tweets is there, comments is there, likes is there, followers is there. Okay, so let us see. I'll take user details as the first table. So what all do you think I'll need in user details?
Names, first name, last.
So what should be the primary key?
ID. User ID.
Primary key should be 1 second. What we will do, so this is this. Let's open Twitter. 1 second. If you see a profile, somebody is there. 1 second, I'm opening Twitter. Need to sign in. Oh, I've not signed in into Twitter in a long time. Okay, so it asked me email if you see in the beginning, right? So let us see. I have let's see this guy. Okay. So what all do you see in his? It's his birthday today. Okay. So what all are you seeing in user details? One is full name. Let's call it first name and last name. What else do you see?
User
Email
ID.
ID.
Email ID. Okay. What else? I told you today is his birthday. How did I know today is his birthday?
Date of birth.
Date of birth.
Date of join.
Birth. Okay.
Followers.
Date of joining.
Following.
Date of join.
date of joining, and then what
Extra
else?
link.
Followers following. Okay, let's say I say followers and following.
Username.
Yeah, this is the most important thing, right? Who said it? Correct. Username is the most can add it at the end. Can't change the number. Their username. Username. Okay. So this much is enough for user details table. So now you tell me which row should be primary key.
Username.
Username.
Okay. I think username should be primary key. Okay, fine. I'll make this the primary key is PK. And what all will be unique here?
Email
Email
ID.
ID.
Unique email ID.
Date of birth. No, date of birth.
नहीं, date of कैसे
No,
unique
no.
होगा? So two people can be born on the same date, no?
Hmm.
So date of birth won't be unique. So let's say I did this. Followers following भी रख लिया, ठीक है? So when we, so this is one table, right? So let us say now we'll move to tweets table. So user details हो गया, tweets पे चलते हैं.
सर ईमेल आईडी पर भी प्राइमरी की हो सकता है.
You can it is okay. You can have email ID as a primary key or username also as the primary key. Okay, it's fine. You can choose any one of them. Okay, so let's go to tweets table. So in tweets table, what all do you think we need? Let's look at this person's one tweet. Okay, so he has made a tweet. So what do you think? What all will be the details?
Post. Time of
So
post.
Time of
we
tweet.
forgot one more thing in username, user details. What is it?
Picture photo.
Profile pic. Profile pic. So it will not be a direct image is not saved. We store the URL of the image. If I right click on this, it should show me the URL. See, it is showing link, right? So this is just a URL. That URL is stored. Okay, so it's fine. So let's go to tweets. So in tweets, what all do we need to store?
Date of post.
Hmm.
Time of post.
What?
Time
Time
of
of
post.
creation.
When they did
Okay,
post.
created time.
Yeah,
Okay, created time. Created time will have time and date both. Okay, what else?
What
What?
status, like what we have written in our picture.
Yeah, so that is the most important thing, right? What is the status? What is the message? Let's call it message.
Yeah, message.
Okay, so we've added a message. What else do we need to add?
Share,
Mm-hmm.
share, like we can share this link. And then share this post.
Pair.
Like
Okay, not pair, but we are still missing one very
Comment
important thing here.
on
So I'll tell you comment. Okay, somebody said comments.
tweets.
Oh, comments added. What else? Okay, somebody else also said likes.
Right.
Okay,
Tweets
likes.
6677 8677 tweets. Number
नहीं
of
ये
tweets.
नहीं this is for that user. It is not for the
Okay.
tweet.
Okay.
We are missing one important thing here. Let's see who finds out. What is it that we're
The
missing?
photo, profile photo, sorry, picture, videos, anything.
नहीं
Yes,
photo नहीं.
posting.
So हमने ये सब कर दिया. So how will I know who has tweeted this?
No, username.
User ID.
User ID चाहिए ना? Without user ID, how will you know
Yeah,
who has tweeted it?
We can link with the foreign key.
Okay. So user ID नहीं username की कर देते हैं.
username.
So now ये सब हो गया. So you also, let's say I did all of this. So how will I uniquely identify a tweet? So let's say this
User
user
ID.
has made 100 tweets. So I want to specifically find out one tweet only. How will I find it out? If you see, if I open a
One of
specific
us.
tweet, if I open a specific tweet, right? So you
Link
get
of that tweet.
no link. So this is called as ID. You need an ID for tweet as well. Right.
Yes,
So this is one whole thing. So you need an ID for this tweet also. So how will you identify a tweet? Right. Let's call it tweet ID. So it's like every post that you do on Facebook now has post ID. Every photo that you post on Instagram has photo ID and all like that. So every tweet that you do will have a tweet ID. Okay. So this much is okay for now. What will be the primary key here?
Tweet ID.
Tweet ID.
Tweet, yeah. Tweet ID will be the primary key. Okay. What will be the foreign key?
Twitter ID. Tweet ID.
Username.
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 Username. Username will be the foreign key. Okay. What will be FK? Okay. So we've done this much. So now remember I had told you why we make two separate tables. Because we don't want to store the same data again. Right? Correct? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So but in
Yes,
this
sir.
tweets table, let us say I have 10 comments on one single post. So if you take my friend's Twitter, let's see how many people have commented on his post. Okay. Nobody has commented. Okay, let's take somebody popular. Let's take Marcus. Okay. Marcus Brownie, MKBSD. So if you see his tweet, how many people have, okay, we also missed one more thing. Retweet is also there. Then you have like, okay, all of those is fine. But if you see comments, how many people have commented on his post?
1531.
1500. So now if I write 1500 comments all in the same and have created time, message, likes, username, tweet ID, and all common. So it is like I'm storing unnecessary data, right? Like if I
Yes,
want
sir.
to show you, if I was going to show you, let me open Excel. Like let's say you have tweet ID, and then you have user ID, and then let's say you have message, and then you have sorry, AVR, you have message, and then you have comment. Okay. So now tweet ID, let's say one user ID is Guru, and what I have written, hello everyone, was my tweet. And on that, what happened was Pavitra commented hi, and then Adarsh also commented hello. So then what would happen? So you will copy same tweet, Adarsh commented hello. Then let's say even Sushant commented hi Guru. Okay. So do you see any problem here?
Yes, the repetition.
Yes. So what is happening? We are repeating the same things again and again. Right? So we don't want to do. So then what should we do? We should store comments in a separate table. We should not store comments here. Right? Correct, right? Does it make sense?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So we will not store comments in this table. Okay, so comments is removed. Same about likes. So let's say I had tweeted like, who all liked? Let's say others liked it, and then who all are there? Who named it? I didn't take. Prithvi liked it, and then what is there? Ritik liked it. Okay. So then what happened? Same thing again, right? So we should not use like also in this table. If I delete like also, then what happened? Now it becomes correct. So I don't have this. So I store one tweet only once. Okay. Does it explain? So that is why inside this table, it doesn't make sense to have likes also. This much is okay. When was the tweet created? What was the message inside the tweet? Who tweeted it? And the user ID of the tweet. Okay. Hello. Yes, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
What we will do, we will stop here for today. I want you guys to try designing this whole database. Okay. I want you to think of how you do user details table properly, how you will do the tweets table, how you will do comments table, likes table, followers table, and how you will link all these tables with each other. And then if I tell you, tell me how many tweets I have made. Okay. So if I tell tell me how many tweets Guru has made, you should be quickly able to write a query and tell me. If I tell you, tell me which is the tweet made by me which has highest number of likes, you should be able to tell that to me quickly. Tell me which is the tweet which has highest number of comments made by me. You should be able to tell that fast. You should be able to tell how many followers I have quickly. All of that. Okay. So I think tomorrow what we'll do, it's anyway Friday, we'll continue with the sessions on Monday. Tomorrow we'll just discuss in detail, in depth about designing this whole Twitter tables. Okay. Once we finish Twitter, we'll go to some other, maybe we'll do Amazon or we'll do Swiggy, Zomato, and okay.
Yes,
But
sir.
so I want you guys to work on this today so that tomorrow we'll quickly recap. And I would like to listen to why I'll ask one what we have done, and I would like to listen why you did it that way. What thinking, what you thought, why is it made that way? I will ask those kind of, like, let's say you would have to join tweets and comments somehow. Like if I tell you get me all the tweets from my tweet, you have to join tweets and comments, and you also have to join user, because without user you'll not know who tweeted it, on which tweet, and you will not know on which tweet were the comments made unless you map between tweets and comments. So it needs a lot of thinking. So try doing it today. Tomorrow what we'll do is we'll go through all of the requirements and we'll try to design the whole database for Twitter. Okay. So this is what happens even in actual work and all. No, what we do is we do the same kind of thing. So whatever we did so far, it was all theory, but actual designing all happens like this only. It is not one. So people sit together in a group or in a hall and then they discuss, okay, we should do it this way. Then somebody says, no, this is better. So that is how you come up with design, and you listen to others' ideas and start thinking. Cool. I think this is enough for today. We'll continue tomorrow.